Hi, I'm Mike. I'm from Denver, but I've been living in Italy for quite some time now. I am the Service Learning and Host Family Coordinator for CIS Intercultural Study Abroad. I'm sitting down and I'm going to talk with a lot of people who have experienced the program that we offer in Sienna to talk about study abroad in general and what their experiences have meant for the rest of their lives and how they've been impacted by those experiences. So I hope you enjoy these. And if you're interested in having a conversation with me, just go ahead and write to me at my email address that's here below. So enjoy, and hopefully see you all soon back here in Italy. Ciao. So hi, here we are again. I'm Mike, and you guys aren't students. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Michael Broide, and I teach physics at Lewis and Clark College. And I've had the pleasure of going to Siena twice. The first time was in 2006, and the second time was in 2019.
I'm Gigi Rosenberg, and I'm Michael's wife. And I've also been to Sienna twice in 2006 and 2019, and I'm a public speaking coach.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, how did you end up bringing students to Italy?
So the college I teach at has a long history of overseas experiences for our students. And Siena, when we were looking at trips we might lead, Siena really jumped out because we really wanted a home base. We wanted a place we could experience over several months. We wanted a place where our daughter could attend elementary school. And Siena just seemed like a perfect way to really be installed and also as a launching point for all kinds of excursions and experiences.
So yeah, you get to see the students in a very different way than I get to know the students. I get to see the students when they come to Siena and when they leave Siena, and then usually before I have no idea, I have no exposure to them, and afterwards, it's we see maybe on social media, but that's pretty much it. You get to see the students in for there's quite a long preparation period to prepare the group that you're going to bring, and then you probably see some of them afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what it's like to, you know, be with a group and watch them evolve, and to see that it's an interesting thing for me.
Yeah. Um, it is, well, you know too, because you were a participant in
That's
the
right.
program. So,
I went to Lewis and Clark.
so
Yeah.
I think what's really neat about it is we both, it's like a co-experience. We're
Mm.
both chaperoning and kind of overseeing it, but we're also sort of participants along with the students. And so it's a very special relationship to have with students where there's sort of an equalizing of the experience, the shared experience of getting ready like a year before it starts in terms of reading their applications and deciding who to take. And Gigi and I talking about what about this guy? I don't know. And 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 this kind of the students self-select, but then we also select, and then all the growth that happens in taking Italian together the semester before, and how that helps us bond and get closer, and various orientation things we do. So by the time we left for the trip, there was already there were already relationships forming. So we really hit the ground running um, from the moment we get there, and then we all just sort of grow together. So it was a milestone for us personally and for all the participants. And then we share that, like when we had a reunion at our house um, after the program, like that September. I honestly have tremendous affection for everyone because I've
Mm.
seen them all go through this transformational um, uh, experience, and
Mm.
they've seen us go through it too. So it's, even if I don't see these guys all the time, I have tremendous affection and closeness to them because we shared something so profound. It's so, life-changing, really.
Yeah, what's it like to, we kind of purposely put the students in challenging positions, in positions, obviously they're not dangerous positions, but they're positions where they're going to be challenged, right? So we have them live with host families. What's it like to, you said that you had a relationship already formed with the students. What's it like to then see them kind of hit those first walls of like, whoa, I'm in another country and this is, I'm going to have to react. Well, what's it like to watch that happen?
I mean, I think the thing is, because we're living there too, and it's a new experience for us, we're all going through it together. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So it's not like, in a way, we don't, yeah, we have more life experience, but we're all going through this new experience together,
mm,
tasting the new foods, seeing the new sights, meeting the new people, just being in a new culture. So it's not like we're in a position of knowing something. We're
mm.
all learning together.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense because we're in a position of we are kind of like we know what's coming, and then we
That's why whenever I saw you, Mike, I had my pad and my list of questions for you.
yes.
My
Yes.
Mike pad.
Well, also, because we had the advantage of going the previous time, I was able to give them, the first time I didn't know what to expect, but the second time I got to say to them early on, there's going to be a honeymoon phase, and then this is really hard.
Mm,
And so, because I had that out there in the open, they actually suffered less because they were fully expecting that there'd be this 2 or 3 weeks of euphoria. And then the reality of, oh my God, my host family is making that weird food again, and I can't do
mm,
my laundry and I have no privacy. And we sort of say the expectations were clear. And
mm.
then they were go, no, it's not that bad. It's not that cold. It's great. And I'm like, really? And so it was interesting that they were more prepared just because the romance, I didn't oversell it. If anything, I was very stern, like, this is going to be really, really, really hard. It's not just about eating spaghetti.
The second group was probably a very lucky group in the sense that I don't know how many other groups or universities would have the professor be in a position to kind of give them a little bit of a taste of what it's like. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Um, so yeah, then Gigi, you were talking about you guys were kind of like students. We had you guys in classes and everything. So what about your own experience as
For
living?
me, it was a great experience. The first time we did have a 9-year-old. So what was great about that is I got to meet other parents at the school,
Mm,
the drop off and the pickup. And, we made friends with some parents who then we saw again when we came back in 2019. I tracked them down. And so that was great to have that continuity. And, Michael and I had experience of living in France for a year. So I knew I loved living in Europe. And for me, it was an incredible experience to take this 3 months and just, I did work, but not, just part time. And just every day was an exploration and throwing myself into a new language, pushing myself into all kinds of situations, taking the bus, just really being part of this village. I loved it.
mm, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you guys got to. I think that's like the best of everything. You get to
Mhm.
experience a new thing, and then you got to do it a second time. What was the maybe if there was like a couple, two, three? What were the biggest differences between the first time that you went and the second time that you went? Because how many years difference there? That's like
It
15
was
years difference.
13 years.
Yeah,
So that's,
That's a
that's a
chunk.
chunk,
yeah.
you're at a different stage of life. It was
Sienna
great having
probably
a kid.
hadn't changed very much, though, if I can
No, Sienna was the same.
guess.
Yes, that's right. Sienna was the same.
Hmm.
Um, so being a parent of a young kid was a great experience, and it's also great to be there and not and not being a parent of a young kid. So those were two differences. But one thing, when Michael and I were talking about the differences, having Andrea be part of the experience the second time,
Mm.
somebody who is from Siena, who is very, who is part of Onda, just we felt like we got this sort of private secret doorway, la porta magica, into this sort of inner world of
Mhm.
Siena that was really incredible. The lunches and the museum tours,
Hmm.
done by somebody who's part of that contrada was really, really special.
Yeah, that is something that's key that we've added in the past, since you guys came the
Mhm.
first time and the second time is having a person who not only is just from there, because it's not that you can just randomly pick out of the population, you're from Siena, do this. It has to be the
Mhm.
right kind of person who's also interested in and passionate about showing their culture to other people. And Andres, he's great with that, because that's stuff that, as much as I can be kind of able to immerse myself into the culture, uh, bringing groups to places where my grandparents were part of my grandparents were not from Siena.
Mhm.
Just that I don't have the roots like somebody like Andrea.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's interesting. Um,
And I think also the service learning was even more developed. The
mm,
second time we came, I'm remembering the day I'm trying to remember what we were doing. We were cutting the olive trees and then doing the hops planting.
mhm.
To physically engage with the earth of Siena was
Mhm.
incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that probably has to be, that's due to the fact that I've been in charge of the service learning stuff since day one, since 2004. So that's the difference of having 2 years of experience or 15 years of experience.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I'm glad that you said that, because it shows that in 15 years I did make
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
shows. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a greater diversity of ways the students could be involved with the community.
Mm,
And I think that's just so huge. The combination of homestays and authentically engaging with the people in Siena, that just makes all the difference. Because otherwise, you're just a tourist. You're not really, or a student. And
mhm.
there's so much more than just a tourist or a student. They're really temporarily, they're really part of each contrada, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's our goal, is to try to get them as far into things as they can possibly go.
Hmm.
From the standpoint of like academics, so because you mean, you both know about academics, the both of you. So to look at the program, when a student is looking at the program, they're getting their homework done, and they're either concentrating on their grades or they're concentrating on whatever they want to be concentrating. But when you look at the program, and we are trying to be as serious as
Hmm.
possible academically. What's it like from your point of view, the program and how it's structured, and anything that you might be able to say about the?
I mean, the parts of the program that were worked the best for me and I was most impressed with was when the academics tied into doing something in Siena or in the region.
Mm.
So, like when we went to visit things like the Siena Records place, what's that called?
Oh, like the archives, yeah, the
The
archivo.
archives,
Mhm.
that place with those thick ledgers and
Yeah,
everything.
it's all,
That
all the
kind of
books,
stuff,
the whole history of Siena.
it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. And we got to go to visit the bank. That was unbelievable that we had that tour. So when I think of the things that, and also the students, I could tell were most excited when we had those things where we engaged directly with the history of Siena.
Mm.
That's just so special and so unique. Um, and every walking tour you take of the city is like that.
Mm.
It just makes the academics relevant and real, and just so meaningful.
Yeah. 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 Well, I think we agree. That we do try as best we can to do as many of those things and find a way also to figure out how not only maybe like the students in the business class, well, they should definitely go to the bank, but maybe we'll ask also the professor, even in some other kind of class, can you figure out how to put something relevant? Because we're going to go to the bank.
Mhm.
So put that into your class. And even something like
Yeah.
art history, well, somebody was financing the art, and the bank in Siena also has plenty of art. So maybe they could talk about that and also bring the art history students in when we go. So that there is
Mhm.
a huge amount of effort that we do put into to include all of the students on trips like that. So
Yeah. And then it's so fun. I mean, all the excursions that you guys plan and that they're a little bit offbeat because, to go to the main attractions of Italy, the students can do that on their own.
yeah,
And so that philosophy of the program, I 100% think is on target. It's just so great. And it's fun that they're always different. So for you guys, it's always engaging as well.
it's always a bit of an adventure sometimes. But yeah,
Right.
and I think that we're really lucky in the sense that, like, I don't know, if students were to go to so many other places, there's kind of like these things that they have to go see. But Italy is so full of stuff and things and interesting,
Mhm.
fascinating things that kind of, it's not no matter where you go, because I'm sure, there's some boring
Mhm.
stuff as well. But I mean, there's so many ways where you could take the students to go show them amazing, amazing things. So
Mhm.
in that sense, I think we're lucky to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And of course, I mean, for us, speaking of contrasting the past and now, the Sardinia thing, it was just amazing. That
Yeah.
was tremendous. That was the cherry on the topping or whatever,
Because
whatever
yeah,
the
in
expression is.
2006 we didn't have a partnership with the people that we do now have a partnership with in
Mhm.
Sardinia, and so yeah, we can take groups. How have these two experiences impacted the rest of your lives? So yeah, how I see there's the map of Italy behind you, and if
Yes,
you move
there's the
your head
map of
just like
Italy right
that, we
there.
can see there's a picture of Siena there as
Tore
well.
e Mangio.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna. I mean, no matter how we do it, we're gonna come back. And I'm still um, thinking about. I'm thinking about taking an Italian class just because I forgot all my Italian after we went in 2006 and had to relearn it. I'm gonna hang on to the what I learned in 2019. And it was just. I mean, really life changing. The
Mhm.
people we met, the food, the way Italians live, the generosity of the culture, just so many things about it. We really want to go back. I think about that trip. I think about it every day.
Hmm.
Some aspect of it, some
Mhm.
recipe I'm cooking, some something about it.
Yeah,
So it was really life changing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, for me as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, anything else that you'd like to share?
Um, yeah, the other thing I just want to say is in terms of um, cities in Italy, I
Mm,
can't imagine a better place than Siena for the
mm,
trip. And I think the students realize that too in the end, because at first you're like, wait, why aren't we in Florence? And all you have to do is spend the day in Florence to go, oh, yeah, this isn't fun. It, I mean, maybe 50 years ago, Florence would have worked, but
mm.
it's just so overrun, and there's just no chance of having the experience that we all had in Siena.
Yeah,
It's
and
just,
and that's not to say that Florence doesn't have the content of things that are important to humanity. But I understand is that it is very overrun with just the
hmm
whole world who wants to go see all of that stuff, which you
hmm
just drive an hour to the south and you're in a place that is
hmm
far more peaceful and has its own history that in some sense, I mean, the Siena's history is much more rooted in medieval, so predating all
hmm
the Renaissance stuff, and of course Florence's fame is the Renaissance, which is important.
Mhm.
But the contributions that Sienna made to that region, uh, many of those actually gave life to the Renaissance itself as well. And being able to see that, just take one step back from Florence, from all the crowds, but also historically one step back to see how uh, Florence ended up how it is, I guess.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
You know, Mike, the only other thing I wanted to say is it's one aspect of Sienna that you actually didn't experience with us, and that every
Mm.
other week, Michael and I hosted these dinners for 5 students. And it was just so interesting over the course of the 3 months to see how the dinners evolved. You know, the first one, it was like, a can of tomato sauce and, spaghetti. We know enough to go get that. And then by the end, we've been to the market, and it was just so much more interesting food and different things, and try these olives, and did you have this prosciutto? And so, and those dinners were such a great way for us, and these, like a small family unit, to spend time with each other, get to know each other, and to kind of grow together through making and having
Mhm.
these meals together.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
the dinners that were really a great way for us to bond and also process the experience in small groups.
And to see it too. You probably had students saying things like, well, you know, the radicchio at the guy on the corner at the market is not quite as good as the radicchio from the lady in the middle. Things like that.
Right.
When you see a student say
Right.
something like that, you know that they've.
And they also had to bring food. So they had, at their host families, they weren't
Mhm.
shopping. So they had to figure out, well, where do I go to get, the best whatever. So it was a good experience. A
Yeah,
good
we
experiment too.
definitely stand firmly by the host
Yeah,
family
for sure.
experience. But that is one thing that you don't get to explore all of the things at the supermarket or the markets on your own, unless you make that effort, of course. So that's fun for the students. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you
and one
guys.
last thing, Mike,
Yeah.
just to add, um, one of the big differences between the first time and the second time was your new facility.
Ah, yeah.
So it was fun to have two different campuses in
Mm-hmm.
the first iteration, but what you have such a great home base now with that multi-story building and where it's located, and it's out of the way, but it's central at the same time. It's just,
You have an
I couldn't
escalator.
imagine a better headquarters.
Yeah. Yeah, we feel really lucky to be there as well. And also the relationship that we have with the bar and the restaurant that are kind of like home base for students as well. And the sun always hits that one corner and you walk
I
out the
know.
door and you see
I'm
all of
imagining
the
it.
open
I'm
basking in the
imagining
sun.
it. Yeah.
What I wouldn't do for
Yeah. Es- Espresso and a cornetto.
Yeah,
Anyway, on
keep
the
going.
record and off the record, Mike, it was one of the highlights of my life to be living in Siena.
Awesome.
And like Gigi said, I think of it every day.
Mm, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
great.
it was great.
All right. Well, thank you guys
Okay.
again. And
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
so welcome. Great to see you, and we'll be in touch. And don't hesitate to reach out again.
I will. I won't.
Okay.
Okay.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.